Morning. Welcome to 1 Million Cups. This is the place where entrepreneurs in St. Louis have the opportunity to have a good dialogue with the community. So 1 Million Cups is a program out of the Kauffman Foundation. And so if you want to tweet to us, our Twitter handle is at 1 Million Cups STL. That's the number 1 million cups STL. Our hashtag is #1MCSTL. And our website is 1mcstl.org. We have there the presenters that are upcoming, but we also have the archive. So if you want to see last week's presenter, you go there, and right below the description is their YouTube video. So it's a great way for us to connect, and those that haven't had the opportunity to come here can still watch it. We have a couple of the high school entrepreneurship programs that watch our speakers, and so it's a great opportunity for them to see what's happening in the community. We're trying to get them here live, too, but we're working on that. So we thank the Kauffman Foundation for presenting this program and allowing St. Louis. We were city number 4. Jim and Francis were in Kansas City and saw it happening and said, we need this in St. Louis. And the 9 Network was gracious enough to step up and offer us the place, but not only the place, but full production. So we have a great opportunity here in St. Louis that most cities don't have. We were city number 4, as I said, and it's now in almost 70 cities. It may be over 70 this week. So it's a great program. We have the rare opportunity to actually be in a studio with actual professionals at the wheel. So it's great. We appreciate 9 Network's contribution. So this week we have up a serial entrepreneur here in St. Louis, Jim Koetting, and so he's going to tell us about PFITR.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, well, thank you. Do I start this?
Yeah, I start.
All right.
Maybe I start that.
Well, first, I'm very excited to talk to you about it. You know, I started a couple years ago working with public entities, and I found that there was a lot of need for education and money. One of the things that I found is that everyone thinks government is really, really good with money. And I found out that that's not the case, okay? So what I did was I wrote this book called Public Fund Investing for Dummies, and they have all this big treasury amounts, and they have to invest and reinvest it. And on one end of the spectrum, some people go out and they'll put money under the proverbial mattress, and the other end of the spectrum, they'll go to the casino. And so one of the things that I discerned was there was a lot of education that needed to happen. And so after I wrote the book, the Association of Public Treasurers came to me and said, Jim, would you rewrite our accreditation program called the Certified Public Fund Investment Manager Program? So I rewrote that program, got to go around the country, do a lot of speaking, trained a lot of treasurers. Most treasurers know who I am. I've got a good presence in this industry. And one of the things that I found was technology was lacking in this industry. So I found that basically, we have the treasurer here on this cliff, and he's getting pushed off by all the regulation, the low interest rate, the demand for transparency, the state auditors. And so we came along and we tried to develop a software to make them look like a superhero or to give them that superhero strength to keep them from falling off the cliff. So our marketplace is the entire United States. And we work with local governments, cities, counties, municipalities, water districts, and things of that nature. So out of the presentation, there's 3 things that you can remember is monies, rules, and reports. And government efficiency is kind of an oxymoron. And so what we're trying to do is automate a lot of that so we've got transparency and they can see what's going on. So money, rules, and reports. When we looked at the money, one of the things that we found was that there were risks that needed to be lowered. And that is awesome. I don't know what happened there. I made that special. It's kind of like a puzzle we're going through, you know. So basically the money, we wanted to increase recurrence, we wanted to increase transparency, and we wanted to increase, help them with their cash flow analysis. And so on the rules, we looked at segregation of duties, we looked at their investment policy, we looked at internal controls, and we looked at financial documents that they have, and we all tried to put a software together to automate this for them. And then on the reports, one of the challenges with the reports is an investor who's making the investments, who's also reporting on the investments, will always report in the best possible light they can. And so what we wanted to be as a third party, providing a non-biased view of the report. So Segregation of duties is a big thing that they have to work on as far as not being the person making the investments and reporting on the investments. And so risk assessment, interest rate shock, that's what we do with the software. So our buyer is typically the elected treasurer, the financial officer, the administrator, the mayor. And why they buy, they're buying because they're wanting better reporting, better bond management, better transparency. They're trying to increase their returns, or they want to get reelected. And why they buy from us is we're the only one offering an end-to-end solution. I'll go into a lot of public entities, and they'll try and do something that we're trying to do, but they have 4 or 5 different softwares, and then they crunch it all in Excel, and it's kind of a mess. So we try to put together an end-to-end solution that handles the document management, compliance, analytics, and valuations. So when you log into our site, there's the superhero there. They log in, and we have this thing called the OQT, Objective Quantification Tool. And one of the things that we found was that everyone has an investment policy, and just like with policies that everyone has, they take their policy, they throw it up on the shelf, and then they do things as they've always done them, right? Well, one of the things we did with investments is we said, can we prove that we're following the objective within the policy? And that objective is safety, liquidity, and yield. And so we came out with this objective quantification tool. And because we're the only one that has that, we've trademarked that. That's part of our intellectual property. So our traction so far, I-10, we graduated the Mock Angel program. And from that put us into a new level. We got in with Capital Innovators and 630 and just got funding or investment from Missouri Technology Corporation. We were the Fast 10. We were number 4 last year. And we were pretty excited about that because we just hit the ground running after we graduated from the Mock Angel program. And we've had a little bit of news about what we've been doing. So there's probably a couple articles out there. We were the only startup in the community that's gone through 2 accelerators at the same time. And right now we're looking at and working with about $10 billion in funds. I developed this presentation about 6 weeks ago, and now our icons have doubled. So we've got about 20 entities that we're working with right now, and that's 10 billion assets in operational funds. So our business model is a SaaS, which is software as a service, and we have residual income. So our average sale works out to be about $2,000 per month, and that works out to $26,184 per year. And by December 31st, 2015, we expect to be at about $436,000 a month. So we think we will turn profitable this year. And that's because of the quantification we've gone as far as, we have all the public data in there. We can go through the numbers and say, this is how many calls, this is how many closes we'll get, and we can actually quantify those numbers to get to that. We pictured that every entity would have a board that would have an iPad, and they would have the ability to see everything on an iPad. And we're trying to go paperless as well, because when I was on a board, I would always get a big, thick document every month, and I would always ask for the one thing that's not in that book. I said, can I see? And they'd say, oh, we'll get that next month for you. Here, the idea was if everyone had the iPad, they could just hit a button, all the documents are there, everyone would have complete access and complete transparency. And plus, as far as the marketing pitch, our software is the only one that has an iPad. So everyone on the board wants a new iPad. We're the software that has that. So there we go. This is our team, the brains behind the team. You can see took that picture last week. We have Addy, who kind of came in via robot from India. He's he got to tour the facility there. We've got our brains behind, Addy and Travis. We have a lot of people who are working on the programs. We've got several advisors that we're working with. So Chuck and Jay DeLong and Scott Jenkins and Art Handman and all the people over at I-10. And then we've started developing our own customer advisory base. So we've got Wagner County and Kalamazoo County and actually, Prince William County in Virginia. So they're all across the country, different advisors we have. Exit strategy, there's a lot of entities out there who issues bonds. They'll probably want our data, so they'll probably come out and buy this. And I don't know if you understand this, but $1 million would fit in a briefcase. When we look at $1 trillion, we take a pallet like this and we get 10,000 of them. It would fill a football field. When you start thinking of bonds and the national debt, and we start talking about $18 trillion and $3.7 trillion, there's an enormous amount of money in these public entities that all of these people will buy and sell those bonds. And so they'll want to know, some of the habits and transitions and things like that for us. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
All right. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you,
All right.
Jim.
Thanks.
Fantastic presentation.
Do you want me to stand here, Michael?
Yes.
Sure.
Or do you want me to stand closer?
No, this is great.
Okay.
Jim is a legend over at T-Rex, and he's also surprisingly well-versed in the trends of my generation. Not sure how you do that, but...
I have a 19-year-old daughter.
Okay, that's how. Congratulations. Well, now for the most important part of the 1 Million Cups community feedback, so you can access the wisdom of this crowd here. Any questions first? Yes, Jim.
Yeah, Jim, great presentation,
Thank
as
you.
usual. I just want to follow up on something you said there at the end, which is, we're talking about the exit strategy. And you may have said this in some other presentation of yours that I've seen, but are you looking, besides monetizing by, selling your SaaS platform to all the municipalities and everything, you're going to have all this data, right, that I think a lot of those folks that on your exit slide are going to want. I know you probably can't share individual, clients, but you have the ability to roll it all up and share trends and give a lot of data that those other entities would probably love to have. And have you thought about monetizing it that way as well?
Yeah, so one of the key elements to the data that we have is we're actually we're pulling in valuations of all these different bonds. And so that's one of the biggest challenges that we have. And so we're pulling this data in from multiple sources, coming up with our third source. And we're also coming out with algorithms to define what the risk is. And it's a little more complicated, but that data we're looking to actually sell and license out there. So the S&P 500, everyone understands that is an index, and people pay to have that index. Of course, you can go out to Yahoo and find out what that's doing. But in the bond market, it's very tight, and those indexes are very valuable. But as far as getting that data out there, I'm trying to get it out there public. It is public data. This is something that we want to have out there individually, but the group-wise, as far as what's happening with the data, that would be intellectual property that we would have, that somebody would want. Excellent question.
Next question. Sure.
As we go in the back. Oh, we have a full house now. I see. All right. As a new entrepreneur, how can this help me? I'm a veteran, and I want to use I live in a 3-story, 5-bedroom home.
Right.
I had a stroke. I no longer want to live there by myself anymore because I was alone when this happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, so what I want to know is how can this help me to get 3 other veteran women to come live with me in this home as a new entrepreneur? What problems will I have? How can this help me? I feel like I'm sitting in the wrong room.
Well, you're sitting in the right room if you want to get help as an entrepreneur. All these people in here, that's, we live and we work with entrepreneurs and technology. That's one of the things that everyone here is always giving back to the community.
So I need someone here that can share what my needs, help me address my needs, and how can I fulfill them to be successful. We'll do that.
Absolutely. There's tons of people afterwards, and we can talk to you and help you with that.
Yep. A couple more cups of coffee, and you'll be on your way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Any more questions? All right, Paul.
So you're focused on municipalities. Would this not have impact on corporate
Well, the next biggest impact and where I see it is banks. Okay, banks are the big thing. And so one of the things how I find out where to go and where to help is I kind of look at where the brokers who make over $1 million a year in the bond market, where are they focusing on? You know, because if you're making over $1 million a year in the bond market, you're selling some pretty long investments. You're selling some things to people who might not necessarily be sophisticated, know what they're doing. And so when I look at these bonds and I see them move into the credit union market, or I see them move into the hospitals, or different entities, that's something that is the next area that I want to go into. Yes.
Do you find other countries with similar regulatory and schemes to the U.S. For expansion, or is there plenty of business here for a while?
Oh, there's plenty of business here for a while. I mean, if we get less than 1% of our marketplace, the value of the company would be about $250 million, just less than 1%. So there's 115,000 public entities out there. They issue $3.7 trillion in debt a year, and they probably have about $4 billion combined in debt. But there are other countries out there, and the bond market is huge. All these countries issue bonds, so we have lots of places that we can go after the United States. Yes.
Do you have any direct competition right now? Other people with software platforms?
Well, yeah. Our biggest competition, believe it or not, is Excel. Okay. So we find about 90% of the people that do Excel. There's other companies out there. One's Emphasis, and they do some of the stuff we do, but we're a little bit different in that we focus more on analytics and quantifying the objective of the policy, transparency, document management. They're going to do some of the reports and the accounting, but there's a couple companies out there, but they're relatively small. Yes?
Is data security an issue at all?
Data security is always an issue, and one of the things that we've done is we've structured it to make sure it's very, very tight. We use Amazon Web Services, 128-bit encryption. We have the little key code to log in there, so we do everything that we can to be very secure on the data. But keep in mind, we're not doing any transactions, so transaction will put you on that next higher level, which we're doing everything that we need to do transactions, but it would kind of be a conflict of interest for us to, do the transactions and be a separate authority. But we also find that this is public information. We're trying to get this out there to the public on, what's going on with their city or county or water district. So it's important, but it's something that is public information and non-transactional. Yes?
So you were a part of 630 and Capital Innovators. Can you talk a little bit about how those have helped your company grow, and I-10? Can you talk about how that's helped your company grow and accelerate the growth?
Yeah, well, one of the things that I've been an entrepreneur for a long time, and I'm so excited about this community. I mean, I got together with I-10, and I'm like, oh my gosh, look, entrepreneurs, it's this cool thing now. They call them startups and not small businesses anymore. It's exciting. So one of the things that is really, really good, with I-10 was they gave me actual entrepreneurs to work with me who actually had done stuff and build stuff. There's a lot of wonderful academic people out there, but there's that little twist in the entrepreneur's head. They're just a little bit off, entrepreneurs are, that you need to have that communication. So they gave me that. After I graduated the Mock Angel program, that kind of put me into the next level, going through to Capital Innovators, and then it's an intense program, and the connections that I made going through that program and the things that I've learned and the accountability on growing the business is just invaluable, or I can't put a price on it.
Yeah, this is. I just wanted to take an opportunity, maybe for like a little bit of a teaching moment here.
Sure.
Because if you follow what Jim's done, he's built a platform and really has been capitalized. We're not going to reveal that, but it's, okay, you've gotten money from Capital Innovators, you've gotten money from 630, but it's not millions and millions of dollars that have been invested in the company. And already he's looking at being profitable. Okay, so in the tech startup space, SaaS companies, building a SaaS is one of the ways that you can quickly monetize, and your need for outside capital is a lot less than some of these companies that need to raise millions and millions before they become profitable. Okay, SaaS. Okay, so SaaS stands for Software as a Service. So what Jim's done is he's designed a software that basically does this analytics and computation for all these municipalities. He could have designed, in the old days, he would have designed it for one on a contract basis, okay, and then the next county would have to hire him to do it again. What Software as a Service is, you've done it once, and you've kind of created it, made it then a product that you can take out and sell, and it's almost a one-size-fits-all at that point, so you can quickly expand to many markets without having to do new design work and spend a lot more programmer time to develop something for every application. I don't know, is that kind of close? Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah. And if anybody does want to give $1 million checks, we are accepting those things. So, I mean, not to say that we wouldn't take that on.
That's not a public offering unless you're an accredited investor.
That's true, but they couldn't give us $1 million unless they were accredited.
That's a good point. Well, they could, but that would be a problem. So Jim, one last question,
Sure.
and it's our main question at 1 Million Cups. How can the community help you?
Sounds
like we already have some way, but
yeah, the community is helping me tremendously. The community helping is just to ask questions about your public entity. So how did you do last month, and how much money did you have last night? Those are two questions that people can't answer managing public funds. And if you put $1,000 in E-Trade and you invest some money, you're going to be able to answer those questions. A lot of our cities and public entities, they can't answer those basic questions, and they might be managing hundreds of millions of dollars. So if you can pose those questions and say, how do you quantify your objection? That's very helpful to kind of have community pressure on the public entities to want this type of product.
And you're asking this to treasurers, and they can't answer the question.
Yeah.
Okay. That's an excellent ending point. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you.
Oops, wrong way. Got a few more here. Oh, there we are. So, looks like a lot of new faces. How many is this your first time at 1 Million Cups? Brian, it is not your first time. I know, Dan, it's not your first time. So if you're new here, or if you've been coming and don't get our emails, there's a clipboard back by the coffee. Please put your name and email address, and we'll keep you updated on what's happening at 1 Million Cups. Who's speaking, what's happened with the companies. We're going to try to up the communication effort, because that's the whole point of 1 Million Cups, is getting us together and moving things forward in the ecosystem. So Jim's a great example of that, taking advantage of the ecosystem. So we do have a lot of things happening in St. Louis, and I've had other organizers from other cities email me and say, holy crap, you guys have a lot of stuff going on. And we do, which is great. So we need to take advantage of that. If you have a startup or know somebody who has a startup, they should apply for Arch grants. Travis Sheridan is famous for saying it's the ultimate prize because you don't give up any equity. So it's $50,000 in non-dilutive, plus a lot of extra benefit in terms of publicity, but also in-kind services and a lot of support from the community. So I encourage you. Final application deadline is March 31st, so you've got a few days, but don't linger. It's going to be here in no time. Prosper, Amy's not here today, so I'll make the announcement. If you're a woman entrepreneur and you're not involved in Prosper, you should be. So connect with prosperstl.com. All kinds of interesting classes, but also networking, and they even have an investment arm. So if you're a woman-owned business and looking for funding, they can help you get yourself ready for funding, and even in some cases will provide some of that funding. So great opportunity. If you play chess, if you were at Venture Cafe last Thursday, you found out that I play chess very aggressively, and the grandmaster put me out quickly. That's what you get for putting him in check early. He'd just nail you. I think I made him very angry. But anyway, so if you're much better than me, sign up quickly. And they may be full, but it's fun to watch. Very interesting to see how people approach. Is it full? It's not full. Oh, sign up. We're extending the deadline. It's not March 6th anymore. So sign up today. So my slide is accurate. What do you know? Travis, Venture Cafe.
And this one should say Venture Cafe and Second Thursdays, because it's Second Thursday this time. So this week, it's Second Thursday, so we're partnering with I-10 as we do every second Thursday. But every week on Thursdays, we do the Venture Cafe gathering, a very full agenda. The chess tournament is one of the things that's kicking off. We're also excited because Boeing will be there talking about some of the IP that they have and how the startup community could actually get involved and possibly use some of that IP or partner with Boeing. Good company to partner with, I would think, right? So you can see the full list there, and make sure you come out because it just so happens that we have great attendance, but attendance is even more awesome on Second Thursdays. So Jim and his team continually set the new mark. I think you guys hold the record at 535 right now. Not bad. We average about 400 people a week, so them pulling in 535 is well above average. So awesome.
Jim's always been above average. So, Jim, I want you to talk about Fast and Furious. I just saw an ad for Fast and Furious 7. Is this 8?
No. Okay, so Fast and Furious, I did not come up with that name. Somebody on my team did. But what we're doing, if you're not familiar with I-10 and our rankings, annual rankings, we've got our annual report back there on the table, so pick up a copy of that. In there, you'll see the Fast 10 list. Fast 10 lists it's basically used on quantitative things having to do with the money raised, revenue, and number of employees. So the 10 top companies that have been founded in the last 2 years make our top 10 list, our Fast 10 list. And number 4 on that list, as Jim had in his presentation, is PFITR. So if you didn't get enough PFITR today, come Thursday to Second Thursday at Venture Cafe, and you'll get more PFITR and some of the other ones. So Melissa, do you remember who the other companies are that are going to be featured in that Fast and Furious?
So Push Up, Dan Lohman, and Keith Turner with iChurch, and James Wing with Healthy Life. They and a couple of our EIRs are going to not only get share tips for fast traction, but do it very quickly. So we will have 11 minutes per topic, 3 topics. And so hopefully we're encouraging people that also have their own tips for fast traction to come and share ideas and do it quickly and use it as a jumping off point for broader discussions about that. So.
Great. I'm very interested in that. A great new book, if you haven't read it, it's called The Traction Book. It's a great book because the 2 authors didn't write the book. They actually went out and interviewed successful entrepreneurs who have established traction in new startups. So it's a great book. It's a yellow cover, hard to miss on Amazon. But definitely come to that because these days, I can tell you because I'm out fundraising for 2 startups currently, traction is the key. Team is important, technology is important, but traction is what everybody wants to see now. So encourage you to come to that session. Great. So WordCamp, if you're around this weekend and you have anything to do with WordPress, and about 30% of the websites are now hosted on WordPress, it's a great meeting. There's going to be speakers from all over the country and actually all over the world, plus a lot of local speakers that are well-known experts in WordPress. It's always fun. If you want to get a feel for it, there's a highlight video from last year that I made. You can go to that link. All these slides, by the way, are on onemcstl.org. So if you go to the announcements page, all these slides are up there so you can get the links. We started a new group in town, Hackers and Founders, and we're melding several things into that. The App Developers Alliance, Lean Startup, Accelerate is helping sponsor it. So it's the first meeting was really well attended. We outgrew Sasha's on demand. We kind of overran the place, and nobody could move. So we've moved to a new location. Juniper, they supply a lot of the food on Thursdays. It's a great place. John now has a new room upstairs that we'll be in. Emma's Attic, I think it's called. They're all named after his kids. He has a daughter named Juniper and one named Emma. But it's a great spot, and we'll have our own room, which will be great because it'll be a lot quieter. But great group of people. A lot of the old heads that have been in the internet business since actually the late 90s, have started coming out to these things. So a great opportunity for some of the young entrepreneurs to pick some old brains, as well as the old entrepreneurs picking the young brains. So it's a great opportunity to just network and get together. We'll have more educational content around app development and around lean startup as well, firing up here soon. But Hackers and Founders is a global organization based in San Francisco. It has 150,000 members worldwide. When we were out there in San Francisco, went to 2 of their meetings, I thought, why am I trying to build this from scratch? Let's just adopt their program. So we're happy that they made us a chapter. So come out on March 25th, 7 p.m. Great food and drink, and we'll have a good time. And then on the 28th is Product Camp. If you haven't been, if you're interested in product or project management, but especially product, you can't have a company without some kind of product or service. And so it's a great time. It's one of those meetings called an unconference. And if you're not familiar with it, basically there is no agenda. Everybody presents what they'd like to talk about, and the crowd determines what the agenda will be based on those talks. If those talks are picked, then those people present. So it's great. It's really a lot of meetings you go to and you go, well, there's really nothing here of interest to me. Well, this meeting, the crowd is really determining what the agenda is. And it's always valuable. It was very crowded last year, so we moved to a new location, CIC, so we can handle, we think, up to about 600 people. And we may max that out. So I encourage you to sign up quickly and come to that the end of March. So it's very exciting in town. You can tell an ecosystem when there's real estate, right? You can tell when a neighborhood is turning by people moving in. Well, we have a brand new co-working center called Industrious that's going to be opening mid to late April. We have the League of Independent Workspaces, Lab 1500, Nebula, Tech Artista, Hive 44, and Claim. So all over the town, if you want to join that, then you have rights to work in any of those facilities. Obviously, CIC at 4240 Duncan. One of my startups is now in the CIC at CET, which is a great space. You can't tell, but that's a picture of it behind there. So that's another great space in town, as well as, obviously, T-Rex, kind of the center of the earth. It's where the big, giant dinosaur is. So 160,000 square feet, 110 startups. So obviously there could be a lot more startups in T-Rex over time as well. Also, we're ramping up again ArchDev Angels. This last weekend at the Startup Weekend Education, it became very apparent. There were a lot of teams that were educators that needed developers, and I was on a team. It's a bunch of us old guys that used to work together in the 90s, formed a team, and we were all developers with one educator. So in talking to those other educators and having them look at our opportunity, we helped them with their technology, realize we've got to do a better job of networking, because there are developers who would like to help startups and are interested in that, but they can't help everybody. So we're trying to make ArchDev Angels a point of connection so that people get the right kind of connection. Developers get somebody who actually can use their help and is far enough along to use a developer, as well as developers can then provide their services in a meaningful way. So if you want to get involved, info@archdevangels.com. We need developers and entrepreneurs, so let us know. Claim Academy, they've launched their courses. So they're teaching in this particular quarter Java, .NET, and quality engineering. The reason they do that is because they worked with businesses beforehand to find out what businesses needed in terms of developers. So it's a 12-week course. It costs about $8,000, but some of those companies are providing scholarship and guaranteed employment if you successfully complete the course. So it's a great program, but if you want to apply to be in the next course, apply here, or Alex on tomorrow night at Venture Cafe. He has time, and you can sit down and find out more about the program. If you know somebody who has an aptitude towards coding but doesn't have the experience or the education, they can sign up and get in the next set of courses. So one of the main ideas about 1 Million Cups, obviously, is getting together and networking. So we want to allow time for that. If you're new or if you're not getting our emails, there's a clipboard back by the coffee, as I said before. Please give us your email so we can keep you up to date. Otherwise, get to know somebody that you didn't know before this morning. Thank you.